Hi, I'm Alana. Welcome to another video. In today's video, we are doing a get ready with me for church. So, I would like to begin by recommending a book. So, my book recommendation for today is called Core Transformation by Connirae Andreass and Tamara Andreass. So, this book, she's like a therapist, basically, and she developed this program to change something about yourself that you don't like. Say, for example, that you have a lot of anger that you want to change about yourself. Then through this 10-step core transformation process, she says that you can really effectively change parts of yourself that you want to change. And so here's how it goes. It begins by first, you have to ask the part of yourself, like say the part of yourself that you want to change is your anger. First, you ask the angry part of yourself, like, what is your purpose? Like, what do you want? And so say the angry part of yourself says, I want control. Then you ask it, well, what is even deeper and more important than that you want? And then say, well, from control, I want respect. Say that's what the part of yourself says. Then you basically keep asking it, like, what do you want from getting angry until you get to the deepest level, which she calls a core state. So you have to keep asking, like, and what do you want by getting control? And then what do you want by getting respect? It's even deeper than that. And then until you get to a core state. So a core state is something where it's just a state of being, like, as opposed to I want to get respect or I want to get control. A core state is like oneness with God, or like beingness, or like inner peace. And so then you from there you go, okay, well, say this angry man, there's an example of an angry man in it who is trying to change his anger, and say what he really wants is oneness with God. Then you say, okay, if you already had oneness with God as a state of being, then how would that change your need for control? And then he says, well, when I already have oneness with God, I don't need control because I can trust in God's perfect plan for me. And then you say, okay, and how does already having oneness with God as a state of being change your need for respect? And he says, well, I don't really care so much about respect if I already have oneness with God. And then, yeah, so it's a 10-step process, and it goes through like changing, like determining what it is that this anger or this part of you that you want to change, what its purpose is, like what it wants for you, what it's doing there, and then giving it what it wants, and then figuring out like how does that change that part of me. And there are heaps of stories of like case studies that she's included in it of how the process has changed the lives of her clients. And so it's a really interesting, really good book, Core Transformation by Connirae Andreass and Tamara Andreass. So that is my book recommendation for today. And then I also wanted to briefly touch on a recent podcast interview that I listened to last night with a man called Graham Hancock. So Graham Hancock, I had heard about him on other podcasts, like people just mentioning him. I have heard other podcasters deride him because of his ideas. And so I was like, who is this funny chap that everyone is talking about? Graham Hancock. And I think he's an archaeologist, but I just Googled it just now, and the internet says that he's a pseudoarchaeologist. So anyway, I listened to this interview with him on the Lex Fridman podcast because it had like 6 million views. And so I was like, well, this has got to be good. And I get why they call him a pseudoarchaeologist, is because like everything he says is very hypothetical. And he also talks about things like numerology and astrology, but he really knows his stuff in terms of like historical dates of things that did happen. But also there's a lot of he's a bit of a Looney Tune, but like I really like him. I really enjoyed the interview. I feel like if you're maybe a bit of a tinfoil hat kind of person and you like to, you know, shut your blinds and go inwards and lose your mind, I definitely recommend listening to Graham Hancock, because he just goes like, he kind of just goes and goes and goes into like theories and then like speculation and then like hypotheses, and then he's talking about, you know, like stars and astrology and numerology and like these ancient civilizations. And he talks about like what are they, oh yeah, the Neanderthals. Yeah, I didn't find the interview as interesting as I was hoping I would, because it had 6 million views, so I was like, oh, this must be riveting. But he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. He has been on the Joe Rogan podcast. So if you are looking to like lose your mind, I would definitely recommend listening to an interview with Graham Hancock, pseudo-archaeologist Graham Hancock. And he also touched briefly on shamanism and ayahuasca. Oh, this is the other thing. This man, Graham Hancock, he has tried ayahuasca 75 to 80 times. And so he's a huge proponent of drugs like ayahuasca and DMT. He said that whoever wants to be the President of the United States, they should have to do ayahuasca 10 to 12 times to be able to qualify to be the President of the United States. So, I mean, like, even someone who, I've never done ayahuasca, and like even someone who's done it one time, I can't understand the need to do ayahuasca at all, let alone 75 to 80 times. He also spoke about DMT and something called DMTX, which he said is like a new kind of DMT, wherein they are now injecting people with DMT to prolong the DMT experience so that people can now experience a DMT trip for like an extended period of time. If you don't know this, DMT trips naturally last only like 10 minutes. And so he's a big proponent of psychedelic therapies. But like, if someone said, oh, I don't really smoke weed, but I've tried it 75 to 80 times, you'd probably be like, you're addicted to weed. Same with like, imagine if someone said, oh, I don't really do cocaine, but I have tried it 75 to 80 times. You see what I'm saying? So, anyway, but each to their own. And all in all, it was a very interesting interview. Should we be giving this man a platform? Perhaps not, but I think it's hard to avoid these days. I think everyone just has a platform, naturally. So, the more the merrier. But yeah, thank you for getting ready with me for church today. You're beautiful, you're perfect, I love you, God bless you. If you're new, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.